mental illness has affected artists in their artwork. To start, one of the most notable artists who struggled with mental illness was Vincent van Gogh. Van Gogh struggled with depression, extreme anxiety, and possibly bipolar disorder. His art was influenced him expressing these feelings. One of the first major instances that happened was when he cut off his own ear. A little prior to this, which led up to his ear being cut off, was getting in a fight with his colleague Gauguin. Van Gogh believed in expressing his art through realistic paintings, while Gauguin believed in making art through imagination. After cutting off his own ear, after having a psychotic break, he was sent to a hospital for 3 different instances in Arles, France. Van Gogh was in and out of the hospital, but he soon realized that he was a danger to himself and was admitted to the Saint Remy de Provence asylum. The painting shown on the slide are from the final 3 years of his life. Café Terrace at Night was inspired by the cafes in Arles, France at night. The self-portrait with a bandaged ear was following his mental breakdown. He painted his self-portraits in the mirror, and so it portrayed his bandaged ear. Almond Blossoms was one of the many flowering tree paintings done while in the asylum. He enjoyed painting them because they brought him joy and represented awakening and hope.
While in the asylum, Van Gogh had time to think. Van Gogh started feeling inspired by Gauguin's painting style using imagination. This is where Van Gogh's paintings started to become more reflected on his mental state and emotion and less realistic. The Starry Night was just one painting that Van Gogh painted when he was in the asylum, and is seen to be the most well-known. Van Gogh painted this because it was his view of the east side window of his asylum, but also added the imaginary town in the distance. It is interesting because he used realism by painting what he sees, but also used his imagination to add to his art. Also, with Van Gogh's heavy brushstrokes and the use of color, it allowed him to express more of his emotions and feelings in his art.
Francisco de Goya was an artist from Spain during the late 18th and 19th centuries. He was a part of the Romanticism movement and considered by some to be the father of modernism. De Goya struggled heavily from mental and physical health issues, of which many are thought to have been used as his inspiration. De Goya had painted witches, scenes of violence, and other dark fantasies, all figments of his imagination and an output of his mental illnesses. De Goya's health issues were not always apparent. In his beginning times as an artist, his paintings depicted feelings of joy and light. Common subjects he painted during this time included children, female models, royalty, as well as decorative tapestries. A good example before his mental health issues set in is boys playing soldiers, showing innocent kids playing and that I see exhibiting light and playful emotions. De Goya, however, started experiencing all kinds of difficulties including anxiety, headaches, hearing loss, and more. There is no consensus on what caused all of De Goya's problems, but some common ideas include syphilis, lead poisoning from paint, and blood clots. The one thing that is evident, though, is that his paintings substantially changed. Goya's paintings shifted to dark and ominous subjects, really showcasing some of the symptoms that he began to feel. The headaches, tinnitus, dizziness, and bad vision caused Goya to experience depression, hallucinations, and weight loss. He would eventually seek out medical advice, but this didn't help and he eventually went deaf. In this time, Goya painted one of his most famous pieces, Saturn devouring his son. This painting is now displayed at the main Spanish National Museum in Madrid. A lot of the paintings that show Goya's health issues were not painted in a traditional sense. Many got found in and on the walls of Goya's home, not necessarily meant to have been a display to others. A section of his house was covered in what are known as black paintings due to the mass amount of black and dark colors in them, and are thought to have been painted while he was hallucinating or having mental episodes, greatly exemplified by the Two Old Men Eating painting. It's quite clear that something was wrong in Goya's mind, and I think that if he had been alive today, he would have got better medical treatment and his late paintings would not have been anything like the ones we see.
Hello. Today I'm talking about Henri Matisse, who is also known for being the leader of the Fauvist movement. Of course, Henri Matisse was a French artist who, as we all know, was the leader of the Fauvist movement, but he's also known for his use of color in many different styles. Many people study Henri Matisse these days for his different movements before forming Fauvism.
Edvard Munch was born in Norway and was best known for his painting called Scream. He was an inspirational artist in the 20th century for German expressionism. His paintings focused on internal objects more than external objects. Munch later stated that the Scream painting was a representation of his soul. He said that he painted a moment of existential crisis, saying it was a depiction of an incident that happened to him walking with his friends on a similar path, and he stopped while his friends continued to walk and then had a panic attack due to a depersonalization disorder. This panicking this this painting doesn't only represent a moment of stress but also symbolizes the dark and troubled times Munch had experienced as he dealt with mental illness and trauma. He tries to rationalize everything by creating a picture of it to capture the feeling he couldn't experience. Edvard Munch's childhood inflicted his mental health issues, and the continuation of abuse and stress of a painter added to this. After he made the Scream painting, he checked himself into a mental hospital, claiming he had been hearing voices.
Louis Wayne is one of many artists who suffered with mental illness, but his story is a little bit different. It's different because it caused lots of theories and controversies due to all of the unknown answers that psychologists and mental health researchers have yet to solve. He was born on August 5th in Clerkenwell, London, and died July 4th, 1939, and people mainly remember him as being the man who loved to draw cats. He didn't grow up drawing cats, he grew up a freelance drawer, but when his wife was suffering with brain cancer around the age of 24, he would draw people in their natural setting, doing daily life activities, and switch them to cats because his wife loved cats that would make her feel better and laugh. He was admitted into a mental hospital in 1924 due to his erratic and violent behavior and was later diagnosed with schizophrenia. Even though Louis Wayne started out drawing cats for his wife, he quickly grew the same love for them, if not more. When you look at these pictures, you can see the transition of how Louis Wayne would portray his expressions and emotions into the cats, and it was almost like these cats represented him, which enables you to see the progression of his schizophrenia firsthand. These images are what made mental health researchers and psychologists question if Louis Wayne actually had schizophrenia or not, because you can clearly see the transition over the years of his technique and skill, and they expanded. But if you were to have schizophrenia, the opposite effect would happen, and your skills and memory technique, that would all decline. So this made the researchers and psychologists believe that he actually had autistic spectrum disorder in place of the schizophrenia, but they have not been able to finalize that information, which leaves lots of room for theories and controversies to evolve. So this is a movie that was actually produced this year, and it's called The Electrical Life of Louis Wayne. I watched it before I did any of my research because I wanted to get a deeper insight as to how Louis Wayne was as a person, and I wanted to see how he handled his mental illness. Not only was this a really good movie, it helped me a lot with understanding him and what he went through. I got a deeper understanding as to how he was somebody who tried his best to live the life that he wanted to live and create the work that he wanted to create. And although that's a really great quality to have, it took a big toll on him. He was super shy in public, but in general, he was a great man, and his wife helped him a lot throughout his illness and life before she had passed away due to breast cancer.
What?